While the average person may not think of Darren Doane as part of the scrap business, you are mistaken, because Darren has inserted himself into our industry by being one of the scrappy individuals and one who introduced me to podcasting in the first place, along with John Sacco years ago. A fellow Idahoan who originated from California, like so many Idahoans nowadays, Darren's a salt-of-the-earth dude with more scrappiness in him than most. I hope you enjoy the podcast. You made the mistakes and you kind of almost went backwards to where you just got more basic.
Yeah, 100%.
I think a lot of people like natural basic.
Well, that kind of became the weird thesis. Was I started. I saw something as like a corporate video. I was Googling something and like some 1980s corporate video came up. Mm-hmm. And the guy was like, hi. And it was like, and it was, and I was looking at the lighting and the way it was shot. And I was like, oh, that's so corporate, right? Mm-hmm. And what somehow in the next like 30 minutes, it got me thinking in terms of like, I think what the way we look at that now is the way the generation right now and to come is going to look at really well-produced and really good-sounding content, because
unless you're at like the level of like an Apple or a Nike, I think it's a little different at that level personally, because there's a line of type of companies.
Sure, but they're going to run into the same problem, which is that there's a generation growing up on sending videos back and forth to each other, mm-hmm. and they know what authentic feels like, and it doesn't feel like being mic'd up. Mm-hmm. So whether they like it or not. Like, we have a generation coming up right now that they understand authentic and natural and real to not be some sort of perfect three-point lighting.
And that's why you're Mr. Beast of the world. It becomes so popular. 100%. Like, my kids love that stuff. And I've just sat down and I don't like it, but I'll be like, I don't quite get it.
Bro, you just gave me chills. I was thinking about Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
And I think quarantine time, for whatever reason, we finally got into Dude Perfect and Mr. Beast and all this stuff that we've been hearing about. And once I started watching it, who's the science guy? Mark Brober?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know that one.
Whole other level. We were watching and watching my kids watch it and how they were connecting with it. And I was like, man, again, this is a language.
That's all my kids watch.
And I mean,
and I've got a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old, and that's all. I'll be like, hey, what are you guys watching? And they'll be like that. I'm like, well, throw it up on the TV, and then they'll throw it up there.
Yep.
And I don't quite get it, but I'm trying to understand it.
Dude, know what the craziest thing that my kids watch? They watch YouTube, but they watch people play video games. And they have
Twitch?
Yep.
Them filming themselves.
Yep.
And then the video game and the running in the background, and them just blabbing a bunch of bullshit at the screen.
That's right.
But the kids, I'll watch my sons.
Right.
They'll watch it for hours, and I'm like, what?
What's so funny is my 15-year-old. All she wanted for Christmas is us to do that. So we got set up at home. We all have mics. We have a Twitch account.
Yeah.
And we play Minecraft, and I freaking hate it. And I'm just so bad at it. I'm the one jumping in the corner.
Right.
And I don't know how to do anything, and I just make my teenager mad at me.
Right.
I told you how to make an iron sword.
I'm feeding the sheep.
Yeah. And then, but we've recorded a few, and we haven't posted it, but we still play. I promise them once a week I'll play with you guys for an hour, and so we're trying to get into the Twitch thing.
These are the things that I've been trying to kind of. You talk about investing, your new companies, what you're doing, and it's been mind blowing just walking around seeing those things. The thing I continue to invest in is thinking, really thinking, what the heck is going on? Don't just, that's dumb. Never anymore. Never. Mm-hmm. TikTok, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about this. And I love when I hear something and I go, ooh, okay, wait a minute. And there's an interesting comment that I think Gary Vee made, which I thought was one of his most insightful comments, is he was talking about Snapchat, and people were complaining about Snapchat and how weird it is that it disappears, right? And this is the kind of thinking I like, and I'll try to remember how this comes back to gaming, is he said, well, hold on, Snapchat's actually more like the world than any other platform.
Yeah, it's more of a memory.
It goes away, yeah. We have a conversation, we talk, and we leave. Permanence is what's weird, right? But everyone thinks, oh, Snapchat's weird, it only stays for whatever length of time.
But who copied Snapchat? everyone else.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think of that, oh, yeah, that is more like real life. Okay, so okay, wait a minute. So before I get too picky on it, like gaming. Bro, when I grew up, I sat there with my quarters laid out on asteroids in line, and I watched dudes play.
Yeah.
I stood there.
Yeah.
Waiting to get to asteroids.
Yeah.
So you were watching, your Mr. Beast was watching Asteroids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm...
Or not Mr. Beast has a video game
They have
show.
a game channel as well.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, wait a minute, we haven't really changed. It's just I keep thinking it's the platforms and the delivery that is changing, human behavior hasn't changed.
There's that picture of people, like you get a lot of people bitching about people on their phones all the time.
Right, yeah.
And then most people have seen it that are on social media, but then you look at a picture like today and a picture in the 20s, everyone was in a newspaper, So has it changed that much? We're just getting our information
You just get your information differently.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm doing on my phone. When I'm looking at my phone, I'm reading the news for the day, and I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around what's going to happen for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I can either make a sale, not
Right.
make a sale, what's going to happen with China, what's going to happen over here, what do I think the commodities are going. Like, I'm just not reading the local newsprint
Right.
in a paper form. I'm reading, Bloomberg, Fox,
Right.
Zero Hedge. Like, I'm reading different articles and try to decipher and make my own opinion on which way we should go with our business. Not like, and including podcasts, including YouTube, including
Your
social
friends'
media,
feed.
LinkedIn's,
Yeah.
Facebook's.
Yep.
And so I'm just taking in all the information. It's just a different way of taking in the information.
Well, we've got some clients and some friends. I've got some clients and friends over in the finance. I've been hitting them up on you and tagging them, and it's been fun to kind of get people on sort of big finance side of things to kind of look over here, And so, because to me, the things you're saying, when you're in your car and you're rolling and you're talking about the market, every time I'll hear something and go, well, and I'll send that over to my guys over who are in investment banking, and it's fun to see them go, oh, that's interesting, because here's another source of information and news that you're actually providing. Where is a dude on Wall Street going to get intel on commodities of this level? Well, you're communicating in such a way where I can share that now. They're seeing that, and I know people are making moves based on that.
And ours is like a regional level. I mean, we're seeing in our area, but we're also, when you talked about the price of commodities and why do I think they're getting pushed around, and it's definitely, there's a lot of China, there's a lot of different factors, but that's what I'm consuming at night, right? Why are these things getting pushed one way or the other? And also the other thing, just from like an entrepreneurial mindset, like I'm trying to think what's the next way to grow the business, right? What's the next, like when Nick said earlier, trying to put yourself out of business. Like we're over here every day trying to put ourselves out of business.
Explain that. I mean, I know your listeners, but I'm going to be sharing this with a lot of my listeners as well. What do you mean by that? I love that expression.
That one hit me, like, I listen to so much Gary Vee,
Yeah.
and out of everything he's ever said, that one, like, struck a chord with me. And Brett had seen it too, but I had to be like, Brett, have you heard that?
Right.
I'm like, dude, like, that makes perfect sense. Like,
it's great having a team, right? Because sometimes things...
We're already doing that to a certain extent, and I think businesses that end up failing is when they dig their heels in and like, no, that's how we do it. That's how we run our business. If you have the train of thought, and Gary Vee was talking about it with like Airbnb, like Hilton should have invented Airbnb.
Right.
And like, the big taxi, New York taxi or whatever it's called, should have made Uber. Yeah. So, what do we go do? We're going to try to do more mobile buying and like try to reinvent the game. We're still going to run our current businesses, but they're going to feed those in, and then you'll be kind of ahead of the change, or maybe you help make the change.
Which is why I think commercial airliners are in trouble, because they're not working to put themselves out of business. There should be a mid-level jet service.
And so whoever figures that out first is just going to kill the game.
100%, because look, there's a price point. To jump on a private plane, to go anywhere in some sort of comfort tour, it's worth doing. That's a $10,000 trip to go somewhere short distance, maybe one or two people.
Yeah.
Short distance.
Yeah.
It's 10 to 15 grand. Once someone gets that 2 to 3 grand, hits that price point, I think it's over.
I'm more the $200 to $300 guy
well,
over here.
By the way, and I think it's Exo jets are Flyo, or I just saw them, private jet company. They're only kind of working this triangle from like San Francisco, San Diego, I think Vegas, and kind of everything in there. But one ways on a jet, $500 a ticket.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That ain't. I mean, that's like. I mean, there's plenty of people.
People could afford that.
Plenty of people with that with that kind of cash.
So tell me how. I love telling this, but like you're the guy that got me to do my first podcast, right?
Okay.
You and John basically called me up and was like, "Hey, we need to do a podcast," and I was like, I'm good. I'm pretty happy just doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I was like, obviously I need to push myself and out of my comfort zone. So I did it, and then I'm like, hey, this is legit. Like this is I enjoy it because I like talking to different people. But B, from a marketing standpoint, it's really helped our business. But how has your business changed since we met in 2000? And was it 18, 19?
Yeah, 19. 2019. Yeah. What part of it?
What are the highlights? Give me the cliff notes, how. Because at that point you were just kind of digging your heels in to doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, my business stalled. My business stalled. Like it just stalled. And summer 2018, it just stalled. And I've never had to go out and get work. As much as I like to grind and do it, in a weird way, I've never had to grind to go get work.
Mm-hmm. It kind of came to you.
It always came word of mouth, built a reputation. And then one day it just stopped. And I was tripping. And then I had to kind of get on the phone and do like weird fake phone calls. Hey, just checking in. What's going on? But I was actually cold calling.
Yeah.
I was trying to put feelers out there. And I was like, I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
Like, this is not my thing, right? And I kind of hated myself too. I was like, man, I don't even like myself making that phone call. But the phone was not ringing, so I knew something had to change. I was like, this isn't working, and I knew it was all about content, but I was just not what had not really sunk in was we were all on our phones. And so summer 2018, I'm looking at my phone and I'm going, you know what? Everybody's here. How am I going to get here? I've never told this story, even on all of my podcasts. I've never told this story. I was literally, because I was looking at the mortgage. I got 4 kids. Mm-hmm. There was no work. Mm-hmm. I'm not a guy with a 401k. We don't have savings. We always dump back into the company. Mm-hmm. And it was gone. And I was literally looking at my phone going, and I was just praying. Mm-hmm. I was like, Lord, I don't know what to do. And I get a text. Boom.
From the Lord?
Kind of, in a weird way. From a buddy of mine that became like a priest years ago, used to work with me years ago. I hadn't heard from him in years. I just see, what do you think of this? Would love your thoughts. And it was a video. I hit it. It's Gary Vee standing on a stage holding a phone. He says, if you're not here, you don't exist. Mm-hmm. That was the clip.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, well, what is that clip, right? So then who is this guy? Turned out I knew who he was because I was a big wine guy back in the day, and he had a whole wine pass. So that was some weird things were connecting. I found that keynote that he gave, and when I heard it, the thing that got, what I realized was, wait a minute, the idea of daily content being on this device, communicating every day. It's one thing to know something makes sense. I was like, I realized, yes, wait, that's it. But there's also something different when you realize that you are actually wired for that thing.
Yeah.
It's one thing to go, okay, you know what, like, you're a psycho, but now you got to go be like a Navy SEAL psycho. Like, some dudes are made for that, and that's why we have the SEALs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? But if we had to go to war, we would know we'd have to put that work in, and we're not a bunch of psychos maybe on that level, but the psychos love it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was like, wait a minute. Create stuff every single day, multiple times a day. Like, don't even worry about what people do. I was made for that.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. January 2019, said I'm going to post once a day. And literally within a week, the business changed. posting once a day. I almost didn't post on my Instagram because I was going to change it from like Doane Family something I had on my Instagram to Doane Creative Agency. I almost didn't do it because I thought about, this might confuse my mom. I almost didn't make a business decision because of my mom. She's going to get confused. Where's all the pictures of the kids?
Yeah.
But I had like 500 people there. I figured start with those 500, right? Like and I was like, am I really going to? Wait, I'm out of money. Am I really not going to do something because of my mom? And so I was like, Doane Creative Agency. I started posting daily. Within a week, work was coming in.
So they started hitting you up like through Instagram?
And it was just the weirdest thing because I had to rethink now, what the heck is this? I wanted to become one of the most thoughtful people on the planet. I had never had like a psycho, what could I actually get psycho at and outwork everybody at? It's like, I think I can think about this issue. And I wanted to become thoughtful on what is this? Not just the mechanism let's post every day, but what are we doing? And the first thing that hit me was, I think like a week in, I started realizing how I need to show my music videos. But I thought, but if I show a music video from Kid Rock, someone's going to say, well, that was like 4 or 5 years ago. Has Kid Rock hired you since? I wasn't going to post that because in my mind, I'm thinking, and by the way, who's this person?
Yeah.
That's going to call me.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw that post, Doane. When was the last time Kid Rock called? Like, we do that, right? Like, we do that. We all do that. And so I posted that, and the next day, someone called one of my clients and was like, I had no idea you work with Kid Rock, man. And all of a sudden, I was creating categories. Remind people. Every day, remind people. So literally every 6 months, I do another post of all my top music videos, top bands I've worked with.
Those are cool because I don't think a lot of people knew.
No,
knew
right.
That
I think, well,
cool.
but everyone knows that. Dude, no one knows.
Yeah.
No, it
No one
circles all the way
knows.
back to like short-term memory. Like
Yes.
people, like they might know, but they don't. They've been told once, or they've been told
Or
twice,
they forgot.
and it's like they forgot. And some of your best, like motivational speakers, some of your best speakers in general, they pretty much go up on stage and beat the same drum at the same pace, about the same shit, because people need to be reminded, or they need to hear a similar message. And I think that's part of why multiple,
I've been talking lately about this, again, trying to really think about this stuff, because I remember it was like and you remember this is a big moment when I shared it with you, like about a month or so in, like people were hitting up, me and my wife and being like, is Darren okay?
Yeah. I remember you and I having that conversation in my pickup outside the airport.
And that was heavy, because at that point, I don't think I'd really shared that story with anyone really. And someone had called and said, your husband's looking a little desperate, and it was like, my response was, when I saw that person, hey, I am.
Yeah, you told me, like,
I am.
I think you were like,
I remember I remember in the car, they taught, and I remember something like, I remember you kind of did that, like, Brett, like, that, like when the dog hears that dog whistle type thing, like, oh, yeah. I don't know what it was, but something clicked.
Yeah, well, because I was telling you earlier, like, I'm kind of patient, right? I'm patient when it comes to selling scrap if I don't feel like the market is the right price.
Right.
But I'm impatient as fuck when it comes to, like, business and making decisions and moving forward and going, right? Like, I think Nick's been around me enough to know, like, when I'm on something, I'm like, go. Next. And he's like,
Right.
I'll have to get clarity. It's like, is this just a thought or is this like a go? Because sometimes I'll be
brainstorming here, or am I supposed to build this tomorrow?
Because when I'm ready to go, like, I'm ready to go. And, like, we had that meeting. You were ready to go. Like, you could see in your eyes, like, it was go time. Like, there was, and sometimes you go because there was no other option, or at least you don't feel like it. Or sometimes you just go because you know it's the right time.
Yep.
And I think that decision, once that decision gets made in your brain, that it's go time. Yep. And then it all becomes, gray outside, and you're just going
and
as hard as you can.
And we went, we were out of money, found some ways to put a couple $100,000 into this restart. 2019, get to 2020, January, February, and we're crushing it. I'm looking at the numbers. We're 2-3 months away from that debt we put into it being gone, and then we're going to be, and we're off to the races, right?
Yeah.
And COVID hits. Within a week, we lose 85% of our business. And for the first time, though, I wasn't that bummed because I didn't feel like it was my fault. I didn't do something stupid. I was well, I don't know. Kind of pulled the rug out from us, like, oh, well,
You and everybody else.
Yeah, right, So I didn't have that guilt when I usually had, like, an idea to run the business into the ground, And so what I really learned, though, was now all of a sudden, all that talking, all that communicating, all those podcasts, within 3 months, we probably 3x the company. And then by the end of 2020, I don't know, 8x. Like I said, it was just
during one of the hardest years in recent
But
history.
I saw. It's weird when you can make direct. Usually in business, it's tough to make direct correlations.
Mm-hmm.
But I was seeing all these things come from that one little silly thing I said, that one thing I almost didn't post, that one picture, that one little, it was all. So I learned that what we're also doing here, and this comes to the patience, is you get to have your cake and eat it too. You get to be aggressive on the content side, make things, communicate nonstop, right? And there is an instant gratification. You get something every day, but you are planting seeds.
Yeah.
You're planting seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You're always planting seeds.
Right.
And here's the deal, and I feel, people ask me, it's like, oh, you guys do work with Doane, and he does your stuff, and I'm like, no, but I do talk to him, like him and I collaborate on that stuff because we kind of both started.
It really was
down a similar path at a similar time, and you do it. You have a business around it, and I feel like we have a business around what we do, but
you run the same business I am.
We're running the same business you are in a roundabout way, but it's the same.
Because you weren't doing that. Because you weren't doing that when I was here.
No,
this is and so all of a sudden you were rearranging skills and people and all that, and I tell people. When people call, I always say, you probably can't afford me, but if you listen to me, I'll talk to you for an hour. If you just write down what I say to do, you'll be just fine. And then when they say, well, what's it look like? I go look at United Metals. Go look at United Metals. If you want to see what I would recommend people doing, it's what United Metals does. Because you're doing everything I tell people to do, which is multiple podcasts. Look, we're all just stealing from Gary Vee, but what Gary has filtered is what we've it's what we've always done. We just didn't know what it looked like on these devices. Right? You communicate with people, you touch base with people, you hang out at the bar with people, you have drinks with people, you go to games with people, you do all these things we do. But now you can do that 100 times a day through these platforms, right? But you guys are an example, I think, of all the different things, all the onesies and twosies when it comes to content that you can be doing. I tell people, go look at United Metals. Go look at it. Because I remember pretty early, after that conversation, you had a whole team.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, you shift, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to hire people to do just this.
And I think, like, when you're not afraid to tell your story, like, there's, in our industry, it's always been, like, this big secret of how you do shit and how does it work and what's the material, who you selling to.
Right.
And, we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
But I always feel like there's when you're just genuine about your story, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I tell a story, like, go look it up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not bullshitting you,
right.
And I'll tell you my wins and I'll tell you my losses,
right.
And I think that people appreciate genuineness. Like, if you want to go all the way full circle about, like, Mr. Beast or whatever, like, people appreciate genuine sound, genuine video, genuine pictures that you took with your kids on vacation. Like,
having a Coors Light on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Walking around the trucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't do that. right? You know what I mean? No, that's what someone will tell you.
Yeah.
No. Wait, you can't
But
have you can't have a Coors Light in the morning and walk around because HR and the lawyers here at United Metals would be like, you can't do that, right? You know what I mean? Like, but if you can hang out, but that's who you. What do you mean? Like, that's who you are.
But I want it to be genuine.
That's what I mean. Me. Like that's like I was watching that, and I mean I was losing my mind. But I was losing my mind because you don't have to be fake anymore to get business. Like that's because we've always known that
you can't be fake anymore.
You can't. Thank you. You can't. Like, it used to be the bar. We were all fake.
Had to be fake
until we got to the bar.
Yeah.
Everything's flipped now. If anything, you're at the bar nonstop, and you put the suit on and put the deal together.
Yeah.
Right, and then you put the suit on to sign the deal.
Yeah, the deals get done by just being genuine and
Right.
dealing with people that you want to do business with. And I hope, I hope you're in a position, and it sounds like you are, that you now get to, do business with the people you want to do business with, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's when you feel like your career is kind of moving in the right direction, is that now you got to do business with the people you want to do business with. If you cultivate enough business, that the right people that don't match up ethically or that don't match up morally or whatever, you can say, that's not really good for me or my long-term brand or my long-term reputation. Like, I'm going to try and do business with people that genuinely, our ethos match up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so all this content now becomes a filter for all of that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it becomes. And it turns out there's more than enough people to go around, right? There's no such thing as isolating yourself out of business anymore. I just don't believe that's the case.
No.
There's always been enough people. When there were gatekeepers, it was hard. When it was gatekeepers and you didn't even want to offend the person at the magazine to run your ad, let alone before you got to an audience with some vanilla ad campaign, you couldn't be you.
Because it always comes back, the best operators win.
Yeah.
The best business, if you're in the table business, the scrap business, the marketing business, if you're the best, or you're damn good at what you do, you'll win.
Yeah.
You'll win business.
Right.
And there might be enough business to go around, and when it's an abundant amount of business, then the shit falls through the cracks, and some people are going to be able to eat on the bottom.
Yep.
But the reality of it is, like, we're confident enough, like, in our abilities and our genuineness, we'll put it on TV, we'll put it on the podcast and say, fuck it, here we are.
Right.
Like, come get us.
Yep.
And people will inevitably want to, or go attack your area the way we attack ours.
Yeah.
That's more my mentality is, I think the best operators win, but I'm trying to encourage people to go attack their geographic area the way we attack ours.
Yeah, and find your people. If you're coming out of college and you're absolute complete Marxist, leftist, woke, whatever you want to find, go find your people.
Yeah.
Have at it. You know what I mean? And if you're not, cool. Check out Black Rifle Coffee. You might want to work for them. Everyone's out there now, and you know what? And everyone's filtering to find their people so that their company culture can run the way they want to run. That to me is as divided as people say we are, and I think we are to some extent. But that's cool. I mean, just find where you fit.
Exactly, and pick a lane.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, there's 100 lanes.
Yes,
pick one.
exactly. Thousands now.
Yep.
And that's what's great about just all these different platforms and connecting with all these different, like for us, it's in the scrap realm, so we get people commenting on there and getting real feedback. Like, you know Foon,
Absolutely.
So we didn't go over there, but I talked to him all the time, and he told me, you want me to be honest with you? I don't like your stuff that's really edited and clean looking. I like the dirty, just the picture with the logo.
Right.
Like, that's the stuff I like.
Right. Yeah.
So I went back and looked at some of our likes. I'm like, a lot of times just the picture of a pile of scrap.
Right.
And a logo in the corner.
Yep.
Sometimes wins rather than the stuff that we maybe overthought.
Right.
And so it kind of, I was like, I gotta so I'll put both out there because I'm not always just after the scrap guys in our marketing campaigns. We're also after the manufacturers. We're not, we're after the the people at home with a pile that want to haul it in. So it's not that we're always just catering towards the guy that works at a scrapyard. But I found that interesting. And he liked those pictures better.
Yeah, and here's what I like about that scenario is I guess we can say anything on this podcast, but it's sort of like if you got a boy and you got to always pull him back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome.
Yep.
Right? Trying to push a boy.
It's harder.
Way harder, right?
Yeah.
So to kind of draw on that metaphor, when you start with a little bit fancy, I like that. Because you can pull back and get real. But if you're super basic,
you won't catch their eye in the first place.
Well, and here's the thing. Everyone is going to be here eventually. And when everyone shows up here being just real, the differential is going to be creative.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And so I love when I hear, that's why I love watching what you got. I still don't know how you got, look, I do this for a living. I still don't know how you make those cool pictures with those backgrounds and stuff moving and all that cool
I'll
stuff.
show you.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
You know, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But my point is, like, I love that stuff. Like, I look at that. I actually think that is, look, you did find something of a creative differential. And so I love that. If it turns out the world really does want just, hey, run and gun, boom, cool. You're ready.
I like
for
it
that.
both, you know. So
Why
I like
not?
now.
Absolutely.
Now that being said, I would try to like be like some of the pictures that our team sends in. Like I'll just put a little logo on it, maybe run it through and like kind of crisp it up a little, you know,
Right.
make it look
Yeah.
a little cleaner.
Well, I mean,
but I
look-
won't put a bunch of other stuff in.
Look,
it.
we don't want the reality of go find 10 people with their phones and look at the brightness level on their phone.
Yeah, because it could be it drowns out.
Because it's at 5%.
Yeah. My wife, we were golfing.
Well,
this
I mean,
weekend.
like-
oh, she took a picture. She goes, I want to take a picture. And I was like, okay. And she did a selfie. And I looked at her phone. And I go, what the fuck? Like, what is that? And I go, it looks like I have makeup on. I go, change that to like a regular picture. And she's like, what do you mean? And I go, don't do that to me. I was like, I want to
never
see
looked so
like,
silky and
Yeah,
smooth.
I was
You had that
I was
angel
like
glow
an
filter.
8-year-old boy. Like, I know better. You know, like I have whiskers, I got gray hair, I got a double chin. I'm like,
Everyone's
I want
like-
to see all the.
Brett must be doing real good. He's getting a lot of work done. I don't know if you've seen Brett's face lately, but there's something
Like,
there.
I want to see all my flaws. You know,
If you ever come in where your face pulled back
If I do
off,
that,
and want to talk,
then you'll know.
Like Brett, knock it off.
if I come in,
no
yeah,
Botox.
you'll know the deal.
You can't top that story. I think we just found the end of the podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just good. That's it. We're done. I'm going back on the road.
Hey man, hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Intro, like we'll do the
Yeah.
intro on the outro.
All right.
But you called me up today, said you were driving back with a family trip.
Yep.
And we've been talking about doing a podcast for a while now.
And that tells you
so-
how much I was on vacation because I thought it'd just be fun to stop by.
Yeah.
And then you completely doned it on me.
Yeah,
you
and
were
I'm like, dude, you're here. Like, let's do a podcast. We can talk about whatever we want.
That's right.
And I'm so stoked you did it.
no,
So,
man.
I'm gonna have.